Tom Cohen and Professor Gerald Pollack are two people that a person really wants to pay attention to these days to get out onto the leading edge of what is healthful for people.
Regarding the water, I have to add also that what you said about the experiments, we have something here in Greece 2 years ago. It's in the Thessalonica. It's in the second largest city in Greece. And the university there actually did energized. I'm not sure if they brown gassed the water, if I can say so myself. I think they kind of energized it with a helix, electromagnetic helix. I don't remember exactly what happened. I'll put the links below and I'll send you the links, George. Maybe you can contact these guys. I'll bring them on the channel at some point. They observed exactly the same thing, that the water actually nature has memory. It changes the frequency, everything changes, and plants grew like 10 times or 20 times faster. And they were like, okay, this is something. And they call it F water. And guys listening, and girls and gals and everybody listening, especially if you're a family man, because that's my audience right now. I'm targeting family people because it's, they're leaving behind their legacy and the children, thinking for our future generations. I think water has to be there in the conversation, and I'm glad that you are here and talk about this. Do you have any last words about water before we move on to more spirituality and mindset talking?
I think we'll circle back to that a little bit when we get into the alchemy a little bit and thinking about the water, mind over matter kind of a thing. You mentioned talking about money aspect.
Yeah, the love for money. Last time we talked together, you actually referenced the Babylon. How do you say the book about Babylon? And it stuck with me.
Richest Man in Babylon.
The richest man in Babylon. And we talked a little bit about money and what are our perceived needs, what are our needs, what is really important for a man.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Again, huge subject. Obviously not in my inventing realm, but I've had a few thoughts and I can share them. First of all, there's what they call a hierarchy of needs. You have certain needs. You need your warmth, shelter, food, but also companionship and things. Money isn't in any of that list, but money helps facilitate that. Back in the beginnings of civilization, you'd have a guy with a chicken and a cow, and the guy with a cow wants a chicken, but doesn't want to give up a whole cow for a chicken. So they invented something that they could call a medium of exchange. And many things have been used for that in different civilizations. It could have been seashells or pretty rocks or whatever the case may be. Whatever anyone could agree on as a medium of exchange became what we call money. And then that way you could divide it up, you could store it separately, you could do all the things you can do with money. So civilization doesn't work without money. Barter is nice. I approve of it. I do it a lot. But there's only just so much you can do with barter. And that's why money was invented. But that's where also it comes down to, I don't know if it's actually biblical, but they say that the love of money is the root of all evil. And unfortunately out there in the world, we have people that have gone beyond money. They have so much money they couldn't even spend it in a lifetime. And at this point, they are more concerned about power. And that's where we get into the evil part, because these people with a lot of power are influencing civilizations in ways that are counter to life and enjoyment and living and all these kind of things. So money is important in that it helps facilitate easier life. For example, it gives you more choices. You can do things that if you don't have the money, it's harder to do. But how much money does a person actually need to be happy? Money doesn't buy happiness, but it certainly can buy comfort. And a lot of people think of that in the happiness range. I would prefer to have health over money because I've been there. I took care of my late wife. She was dying, a 24/7 caretaker. I spent all the money that we had. I was $300,000 in debt when she died. I did everything I could to try to preserve the life of this wonderful woman. Unfortunately, we weren't doing the right things. We didn't know what we didn't know at the time, and I learned later what I could have done that may have saved her life and brought her back to health, but it was too late, obviously. But it was a good thing in that if I hadn't gone through that experience, I wouldn't have learned the things that I did learn. So I'm able to help a lot more people now, and that's what I dedicated my life to. Again, it comes back to I'm doing it not for money, but to help people. And I, I no longer have an issue. I I have enough. How much is enough? Enough is when you have everything you need to be happy. I have relationships now with my family and friends that I didn't have before. And a part of it was because of all this hardship. When you're in the hardship, you actually find out who your friends are, who the people you can trust are. And that is more important than money to me as well. As long as I have enough for food and shelter, I'm warm, I'm fed, I can hug a friend, I can enjoy playing ball with my grandkids, I can I can enjoy living and life. What is money? Money, you can't eat money. Money doesn't keep you warm directly, you know. So you prepare for things. You use money to buy additional, a nice heating system and things, but then you've got what you need. So I don't use money to control people. Again, that comes down to anytime you're trying to control somebody else for any reason and using any technique, that's not a good thing. People need to be able to make choices. As I see it, God has choice, Satan does not. So anything that approaches me and says, you must do this, you have no choice, I believe to be satanic. Anything that comes to you and says, you can choose to do this, I believe to be godly. Now, you can choose it. God, God doesn't necessarily take care of you regardless of your choice. God gives you the choice and then you live with the consequences. But it also comes down to information. A lot of people don't get the information they need to make a proper choice. They make the best choice they can with what they know, but if there's something satanic that is preventing them from getting the information they need to make a proper choice, again, you have an issue. In my mind, you have an issue. So it's important to learn. Learning is vital to making decisions that have positive consequences in your life and living, and for all of civilization. So money is a good thing and needed. We can't exist as a civilization without it. But the love of money is the root of all evil, is what they say. And that's when you start loving money more than people, money more than health, money more than all these other kinds of things. When you make decisions to get more money rather than making decisions to make people happy or yourself happy, civilization better, because we're only here for a short time. Like, I'm over 60 years old now. I see the end of my mortality at some point in the relatively near future. I have more life behind me than ahead of me, and I look over my life and I see, what am I going to leave behind for my family and friends and people. I can't take my money with me when I go wherever it is my spirit goes after it leaves this body. What can I take with me? I can take my attitudes, I believe, because I believe we still have consciousness when we go off into spirit form. I believe that I can take my integrity and what I've learned here on the planet, but I can't take anything physical. So why bother accumulating yachts and great huge estates and all these kind of things? For me, I say why bother, because I can't take it with me. I'm going to leave it behind. Now maybe I leave it behind for somebody. I'm looking for generational wealth or to take care of my loved ones. But I've also discovered it's very important that people learn, and adversity does teach people things. If I give too much things away as an inheritance, they don't value it. They didn't earn it. They don't know how to maintain it. Now, if we get back to The Richest Man in Babylon there, it teaches you the rules of money. I believe everybody should read that book. I've read it at least 10 times. It's vital to understand the rules of money. And it isn't the money specifically, it kind of is energetic for life, but you have to learn how to handle money in such a way that you're not wasting it and it will come to you. Then you can handle my estate or whatever gets left. Otherwise, a lot of people, for example, that win a lottery, 5 years later when they go back, they're in a worse condition than they were when they won the lottery because they didn't know what to do with the money. And all kinds of, I'm going to say, vultures landed on them to make offers to them, and they didn't know where to put the money or how to handle the money to make the money. preserve the money and make the money grow and keep their quality of life, the standard of living to which they would like to become accustomed, is the way I say it.
Yeah.
So that kind of is my money philosophies.
Yeah, very interesting. By the way, regarding the whole lottery thing, I have a direct example from my family tree. Two cousins of my mother, second cousins, they were twins, and they were working in the army. You know, a simple job like some army officer or whatever. And they actually won some kind of lottery, like some big chunk of money, life-changing chunk of money. And they quit their jobs, of course. Um, One of them got a very young girlfriend. I would say too young, to be honest. He was like 14, she was like 18. So that's like 1700s young, old tradition young. And of course, he took advantage of the situation, let's say it politely. The guys spent tremendous amount of money on trips, and the investments they did were so not strategically. Like they invested in DVD clubs during the age of the internet. Like in the beginning of the age of the internet, they started the DVD empire. And of course, you can see, you know, in the horizon, you can see the how that would end. And of course, that ended badly for them. And they were like exactly like you say. Maybe it took them like 10 years, maybe not 5, but they were worse than they started. They were, I think, indebted. I don't know the details, but it didn't end well. So you cannot, at the end of the day, bottom line is that you cannot. I see the same with fitness and healthcare with myself. When I try to, you know, take a shortcut, you can't. It will bite your ass later on. You cannot. Just be patient. And that's why I love talking with people like you, George, because have done your mistakes. And I think newer generation of men have to have examples like yourself, more moral, more actually interested in innovation and beauty and, you know, godly pursuits other than, you know, 2023 aspirations, get me a yacht, you know, get me a Bugatti, like the guy, get me a something, get me hot girlfriends. Okay, I get it. If you are 18, yeah, maybe you did a mistake, but I think people should aim for quote unquote power to help people, empower others and their family, and be responsible, as you say. And I'm not perfect. I'm just learning. Like I say, sometimes I'm just now becoming a man. Like I'm 32, so I'll probably finish my manhood course like in my late 30s. So I was a little bit late, but I hope that younger men listen to podcasts like this and take interest in science, in true science, and not in fake, how to, you know, fake power, trying to, you know, how you said it, you know, try to accumulate things to take with them in the grave. And by the way, what you said about generational wealth, it almost never works. And when it works for big families, aristocratic, royal families. And even then, you see that they put too much control on their kin. So you have to be brought up a way that's not humane. You have to be brought up like programmed, like, you know, a Prince Harry or Prince something or Prince the other thing. And it's not normal. It's not, you don't find happiness probably in these cases. You don't find fulfillment. So yeah, every man, in my opinion, has to go through tough times. And I went through the past 5 years and it wasn't pleasant, but I'm getting out of it right now. And it's like, you know, you learn something. Of course, you are like 150 years more wise than me, but I just wanted to give my example, you know, to the younger audience to say that, yeah, I completely agree from my younger experience with what you said. I concur.
Yes, and that makes you wise. That's the kind of thing that you have to realize at first. Like when I was 18 years old, I was thinking, look at these old men with money. Like, they can't do anything with it. They got to give it to us young fellows who can do something with it. And then I learned that if I had had it, it would have just simply made my life much worse. And yes, it was hard times. I can describe things that people would not even believe on some of the things that I've lived through. But again, it's amazing what you can live through. So the first thing to do is to learn. You need to learn as much as you can about what interests you or about necessarily the life skills that a person should have. Because learning will help you throughout your life. Learning has saved me so much. And if I'd known back then what I know now, I'd be a multi-billionaire. As far as money goes, it would have been easy to get money because I would have understood the decisions that I would have need to make, and my life would have been happy because I would have been doing what I like to do, but I still would have been making money. And money opportunities come around all the time. It's one of those things where if you understand how money works, everybody can make money doing what they like to do if they do things properly. And another thing Robert Kiyosaki said, for example, and that's what you do, is you listen to these people who have money. Don't ever listen to an advisor who has less than what you want. Like you go to a bank and they have these financial advisors, for example, and you ask them, how much money do you have? And they have maybe $10,000 in the bank or something. And you have, let's say, $50,000 in your bank account, and you're taking advice from somebody who has less than you. It's not necessarily a good idea. It's one of the things that in the book Richest Man in Babylon teaches, is that you go and look for the people who acquired the knowledge to do what you want to do. So if you want more money, you go and ask the people who have acquired a lot of money, not through inheritance or lottery, but actually earned it. And they will be able to teach you the things that you need to know. That's the kind of mentor you're looking for. Or if you want a really nice house, you don't go to a person who has a hovel, who lives in a shack. You want to go to a person who has a really nice house and say, or if they built it, how did you build it? You go to the people who know what's going on. And quite often, these people who have a lot, have earned a lot, are so willing to teach the younger people if you just ask. So this is very important, just learning that. So first thing to do is learn. It's always important, like if you travel on an airplane, get this in your head. This is vital. This is vital knowledge. If you travel on an airplane, one of the things that they'll tell you is to put your own oxygen mask on first before trying to put an oxygen mask. Let's say the plane is in trouble and the oxygen levels are going to drop and the oxygen mask drop down in front of you. They advise putting your own oxygen mask on first before you help your family, friends, or anybody next to you, kind of thing, with their oxygen masks. Get yourself in a secure place first. You're not trying to take advantage of somebody else to do it or what have you, but learn enough that you can be secure yourself, because you can't help anyone else until you are secure. Okay, this is very important. Secure your own life, because then you can help other people secure their life. You can give them advice because you know what it takes to do that. One particular person asked me recently, with all the chaos that is coming down the road, like this last 3 years is nothing compared to what's coming. So this person asked me, what can I do to get started? I said, go camping. Okay, you have to start with the basics. Get in touch with nature. Find out where you can get food in the woods. Find out how to set a snare. Find out how to survive with very little, because if what is coming comes, you're going to have very little. Everybody is. There's just simply, even if you have money, there won't be anything to buy. If things get that bad. And if you have a big house, other people might attack it, or a fire might happen, or you could lose what you have and you can't replace it because of the kind of things that may happen. Okay, I'm not saying it will happen, but if you secure yourself first, if you get the knowledge you need to be secure in your own person, then you can help others. You can survive yourself relatively comfortably in whatever environment, and you can then help other people as well. And that's the kind of thing that civilization needs. Civilization needs health. First and foremost, everybody needs to be healthy and happy. You don't need money if you're all healthy and happy. You may need money for trade, so you're buying eggs from one place and milk from another without having to buy the chickens or the cows. But you can provide a service, like you can help in the hay fields to collect the hay for the cows, and in compensation they give you money that then you can buy the milk of the cow or something like that. It's saying it's just a lot of different ways that civilization can work if you have health. If you don't have health, money means nothing. Nothing. So we start with learning, and then we make sure that we have ourselves secure and ourselves healthy, and then we try to help other people, because that's the glue that keeps civilization together, families and friends. You would be amazed at how different the consequences are of your life if you help as many people as you can. Just go through life helping people. Your life will be amazing. But of course, you have to help the people that aren't trying to take advantage of you. So a little bit of cognitive reality there. Help those that will help you back more than those that you won't. I'm not going to say get anything from, because that's the wrong attitude. You want your
Yeah.
group to be strong. You want your group to be people who help each other, and that's what makes civilizations great.
Conclude is that not everybody thinks like us, and there has to be some perimeter. It's good to be a good man, I think, in my opinion, but you have also to be strong and cunning in a good sense, to be like, okay, this guy, let's forward my relationship with that guy, but slowly, like take steps. Don't go from A to Z and then figure out, oh, okay, so he's now with my girlfriend. Okay, he took my money and ran away like a thief in the night. Because if that happens to you like 10 times, like you have no energy left, like you have no money, and I've been there almost. So, and I'm like, oh, okay, I was a good man, and I'm okay. Now what? now, now the feedback wasn't exactly the one I hoped for, so
Yes.
it's a good asterisk to note.
Discernment. That's very important. Exactly. So that is actually kind of segues into something I'm also doing with the AquaCure and the Brown's gas, in that I'll preface it by saying I learned very young, and I'm going to say accidentally, that teaching people was a better way of doing it. There's a saying that goes, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. But I didn't really think of that when I was first starting in my business of inventing. I just wanted to get money, and I'd learned that patenting was a bad idea for my particular business for many reasons. On my website, I have 12 reasons why I don't patent, so people can go and examine that. But in any case, I discovered making the books to teach people how to do what I did for myself was the ideal way of making money. And then I had a mail order business, so I was selling books and literature, and then that segues into selling kits, because people will buy the book, they'll see it will work, but they don't necessarily have access to or want to go to the hardware store to pick up all the different components. So I sell a kit. And then eventually there's people that just don't have time to put it together, so they buy a device. So that the book built a business like that. Now that segues into what happened in my life with the AquaCure, in that people can build their own Brown's gas machines. I have books that tell people how to do that, and they can be a relatively low cost if you have the skills, resources to do that. But there are a lot of people who don't. They can afford to buy a machine, for example. So then I sell these machines, these AquaCure machines, and I've made a good living with that, helping people. I'm all about trying to help people, not about the money. Now, the money is necessary to make the business work, but I've reached a level in my business that I'm comfortable with. I don't need a gigafactory like Elon Musk. I'm comfortable with my garage and workshop making a few of these AquaCure machines, and accumulatively, there's many thousands of them out there now. But that is a drop in the bucket, hardly a mention of anything, because there's billions of people on the planet that need this technology to be healthful. So what I'm doing is I'm making a course, a manufacturing course, which I'll be launching actually within maybe a few weeks, but a couple of months. And at that point, anyone can learn everything they need to know to build these AquaCures and make a business just like my own. Because there's several different problems with this particular business where I'm the focal point of a worldwide business. So anything goes wrong with one of my machines in Australia or Europe or Asia somewhere, all of a sudden that machine has to come back to my shop in the United States or Canada, whichever is the most appropriate, to be fixed and then go back out again. That's ridiculous. Like automobiles, where there's a mechanic in every town that has at least one mechanic shop. where people can take these machines to the local mechanic to be fixed or serviced. Then if you have a local manufacturer, they can make them, they can rent them, they can lend them, they can do whatever is necessary in their local area. They can service them, they can make sure that everything is fine with all of their customers. So making thousands or even hundreds of thousands, let's hope, of local manufacturers around the world solves both these problems. You don't have all this supply chain solution things where things are going back and forth around the world for no reason specifically. And in addition, this is a way to make money. Because now that each person in their own garage or home, where they have enough space to set up to do this, can make these machines and sell them and service them locally, there's a business, and it's an essential business. It's a health business. So you're helping people at the same time as making a local economy, including yourself, more affluent and better. And with health, everything else comes from that. Health and learning. It's amazing the ability of the human mind to solve problems. Like this, in this last 3 years where they had this problem where they were solving it with injections, there were so many doctors and scientists that came up with solutions that were even better, more healthful, but those were ignored. And if they had been embraced instead, our whole planet would be better off. So here we have local businesses that can happen. And so this is what I'm doing is my business morphs into not only just helping myself, but helping as many other people help people as possible. Not just me helping people directly, but me helping people who help people. And that's where my business is headed.
That sounds like the logical next step, George. And it's what Jocko Willing, it's a guy, a military guy, and he's talking about leadership. And he points out many times over in all of his podcasts that it's very crucial in the battlefield that the guys in the battlefield, they don't wait from DC to take their commands, and they actually have enough knowledge and enough permission maybe or responsibility to take a decision and go with it without waiting, so that they can actually improve and maybe make a mistake, but improve upon the mistake and not wait for the king in the castle, to actually do the move. And it's decentralized leadership, and I think that's what you're doing, and it's excellent because it's actually efficient. And a guy like you are an inventor, an engineer at heart and at mind. It actually makes sense. It's not like just a kind solution. It actually makes efficient sense. And not to mention that if everybody, it makes sense on the other way. Even if you are like selfish or megalomaniac, even then it makes sense because you are going to actually help people create the businesses, and they are going to be spiritually indebted to you. So everybody wins like 100 times over.
I like the win-win-win situation.
Exactly.
The people that get the machine win because they get their health. That's what they paid for. The people that are providing the machines win because not only do they have a business which feeds them and they incorporate the machine in their own life as well, but then everybody wins. So that the people that are manufacturing the various components and right down the civilization where you're getting metal out of the ground, and so a whole infrastructure is supported by this sort of win-win-win situation.
George Wiseman, that was a great interview. You are a mentor to myself, and I'm talking here honestly. I'm glad that you exist and you have books and videos, and I'm glad that you came by and again grant us your knowledge, which is something that's beautiful. All the things we talked about. I'll put down below the links about your media, of course. No need again to go through it. And please stay for a moment after the recording ends. And for anybody else, go and find below the links to all of George's media. And of course, if you want to heal yourself faster, or at least have a go with it, maybe you can get yourself your AC50, which is the way I call it. It's more cool. The Aqua Cure. It sounds more scientific, more science fiction. It's actually not science fiction. It's actually scientific evidence-based healing process. So go get yourselves your AquaCure below. And George, thanks again for coming on.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.